If you're ambitious, driven, and successful in many areas of your life, why do you keep ending up in the same relationship patterns with women? This is such a common thing that I see with many high performers. I went through for years was these cycles of chasing and feeling lack and desire, right? They fueled me to go out and be ambitious and make money, right? This is what a lot of high achievers and high performers have within them. It's kind of this fuel that they go out and it gives them the energy to want to go out and make money and build status and build success, build wealth. But the thing is, when this carries over into your relationships, you bring that same energy into that. So when it's coming from a place of lack or desire, no relationship will ever feel fulfilling because you want more. You want something better, right? When you're operating from the state, you'll never actually be able to attract what's best for you when you're operating from a state of lack. And so I myself was someone who struggled with lust, chasing casual sex, chasing external validation from women because I didn't have that self-love within me. So I was seeking that as an alternative, as something that was temporary and fleeting, that gave me that sense of fulfillment that I was lacking within myself through women and through casual sex. But eventually I hit a point where like I slept with a girl and I just was like, I felt terrible because I had no feelings for this girl at all. And I had been thinking about just like stopping altogether. And I was like, you know what? Like, I actually want better for me. Like, I actually want like a real feminine woman, like that I could see myself with long term. And so what I realized was that if I continue to behave like this, if I continue to just sleep around with random girls and just go after casual sex and be lustful, then I wouldn't actually be able to attract someone who would match what I actually wanted if I continued this way. So what I learned was that if I actually started to align my thoughts, behaviors, and habits with the type of man who would be able to attract a woman that I actually wanted, then that would be the result. Because your external is just a mirror of your internal state, right? And this is what a lot of relationship advice gets totally wrong, whether that's red pill or nofap or like even religious advice that's guilting you or shaming you for your behavior, is that it's teaching you that you're not enough. It's teaching you that you don't have enough within you, that you need something external to save you, to change your internal state. And that's completely backwards. Your external is just a mirror of you and the energy that you give off in the world, and especially in your relationships. And so when I made the decision to change, when I made the decision to go celibate for 2 years, I had initially just been suppressing my sexual desire, right? So when I went on nofap, when I suppressed my sexual desire, when I stopped having casual sex, yeah, sure, I stopped the behavior, but it didn't actually change what was going on at the root level. It didn't actually change what was driving those behaviors. And so what happened was I had this abundance of sexual energy, creative energy built up, because that's all sexual energy is just creative energy that's looking for an outlet, right? So this same energy that can create new life can be channeled into creating things and building things for yourself and for the world, to better the world and human consciousness, right? But what I did instead was I was just coping, and I was relying on suppressing my sexual desires, right? And I was suppressing everything, suppressing my emotions. But what happened was I got the courage to actually quit my job, my 9 to 5 job that I absolutely hated, and I went into entrepreneurship, right? And this was like 4 years ago now. And within 6 months, I actually like 6x what I was making at my 9 to 5 before, with my income, but it didn't last, right? It really didn't last, and I kind of crashed and burned after like a year because I was operating still from a place of lack and desire and needing more, right? So that desire of seeking casual sex through women, right? Needing that external validation, that turned into seeking external validation through materialistic things, right? And needing more status, more success, because I didn't have that self-worth and that validation within myself and that self-love that I needed, that I was looking for. And so naturally, I crashed and burned, right? But it taught me that there was actually something much deeper going on at the root level. Because one of my friends that was very successful, he asked me what I thought was the problem as to why I wasn't seeing the success or the stability or the consistency that I wanted. And what I realized was that it was nothing actually external. It was all internal. It was all the limiting self-beliefs that I was telling myself about myself, and the lies that I was continually telling myself. And so what I've learned is that most guys don't actually want to change, or most guys aren't usually willing to want to change unless their finances are on the line, right? And unless there's some financial pressure. And as unfortunate as that is, it's absolutely true. Because I see that with most guys out there. They're very stubborn to change unless their finances are on the line. It really doesn't matter how bad their health is. It doesn't really matter how bad their relationships are. Until it comes down to their finances, they're usually not able or wanting to change for the most part. Sure, I mean, there's plenty of guys who would, but that's generally not how most guys are. Most guys who are operating from the state of lack and desire, it's usually the finances that will ultimately force them to change. And this is really the like modern battlefield that men are throwing themselves into, that really is a modern day way to get that feeling of you're in war, right? That you need to rely on courage and willpower and force to make your way in the world. But what it taught me was that I couldn't just operate from a state of a willpower and hustle and grinding in a state of lack and desire. It's really just another form of lust, sexual lust, in status form. That there was something much deeper going on that was forcing me to fall back in these old habits of self-destructive thoughts, right? Of overthinking, anxiety, analysis paralysis, and not relying or not trusting my heart and not following my gut instinct, not following my intuition. I had no connection to my intuition. I was always overcompensating with willpower and force and hard work, because I had realized that side of me was a safer option, a more predictable option than being fully surrendered, than fully surrendering to God and my intuition to guide me. So going through that process taught me that there was so much more that needed to be uncovered that I hadn't discovered yet. And in doing so, it led me down this path of a couple years of doing really deep inner work that taught me how to surrender and that taught me how to actually listen to my heart and follow my intuition. And by doing this, I accidentally learned how to actually open my heart, and it forced me to surrender. It forced me to give myself all the love and the validation that I was seeking for in the world, and that radiated from me. And so naturally, the types of girls that I was now attracting into my life were operating from that same state and were able to meet me at that level, because the external was just a mirror of my internal state. And so naturally, not only that, but when I was able to build myself back up financially, I was doing so from this place of abundance and gratitude and love and wholeness, instead of lack and desire and hustling and chasing and seeking what I was lacking within me before. So you see the shift here. This is the shift that nobody else will share with you, but this is what actually creates real, lasting, permanent change. This is why so many guys in the online space, and especially, they might see temporary success in the short term, but it's their identity, their self-limiting beliefs that bring them back down to their default setting. Because you can't outwork your own self-belief. You can't outwork who you believe that you truly are and what you're capable of. And that falls in especially with relationships. That's why so many guys, high-performing, successful guys, can go on a ton of dates, can meet a lot of women, can even have a lot of casual sex, but they never are able or wanting to commit long-term, or struggle with attachment, or struggle with being vulnerable, because there's something holding them back from doing that. There's something deep inside of them that's holding them back from holding that deep connection, because they don't have that connection within themselves. And so this is what most relationship advice and red pill gets wrong, is that it's teaching you that you just need more. You just need more things. You just need more girls. You just need more sex. And then you will eventually feel fulfilled. But all it does is it just keeps leaving you more and more empty. It just keeps carving the void deeper and deeper inside of your heart. And this is why guys can get it all and still feel empty. They can sleep with all the girls, they can have all the stuff, and yet they never feel fulfilled, because they're never giving themselves what they actually deep down know that they need. And so this is what integration is. Integration, which is what I help my clients with. If you want to know how that actually works, you can click the link below. But firstly, you have to become aware of what are these patterns? What are these triggers that are coming up for you during the day? And especially in your relationships, is it overthinking? Is it over-attachment? Is it lusting? Is it fear of commitment? And then once you become aware of what that is, then you can start getting deeper into what's actually driving these behaviors and these thoughts beneath the surface. Because a lot of times, as men, we're taught that showing our feelings and emotions isn't masculine, that it shows weakness. But when you integrate this side of you is when you can actually become fully masculine and fully whole as a man. And you can start to see which of these parts of you that you've been suppressing and that need to actually be expressed. Because the reason that a lot of our attraction patterns and a lot of these women that we're drawn to can feel fleeting. Like that attraction can feel so strong and so intense at first, but then over time, whether a couple dates or whatever it is, that attraction fades, and then you're looking for another one, looking for the next one. And that's because we're only seeking a specific woman because she shows the parts of us that we're suppressing within ourselves. And I know that's hard to understand, but essentially this is just what projection is you're very drawn to someone specific because they're showing you a part of you that you've locked away and suppressed in yourself that needs to be expressed. And so until you learn and identify what these attraction patterns are trying to show you, then you can start to integrate those traits that you've tucked away within yourself. And only then will you be able to become fully whole, that you no longer need that external validation or that approval through the women, because you already have that within yourself. And naturally, this is going to come off as wholeness and abundance and gratitude and love, which is only going to attract more of that same thing into your life. This is when you can actually be able to attract a woman who matches your soul, not your projections, and not your wound, and not your voids. But getting to that root as to what's driving that takes work and it takes time, right? But it shouldn't take forever. And so if you're interested and you want to know how that actually works, you can click the link below. But just know that this is the work that needs to be done. This is the work that nobody else will tell you. This is the work that Red Pill won't tell you, that Pickup Advice will not tell you. No amount of game will fix your soul. No amount of game will change what's going on in here. And so until you change what's going on internally, the external will never change. But you can change the reflection. You can change the types of women that you're attracted to and that are attracted to you by changing your internal state.